What is good? What is good? We have our first special guest, Mr. Marcus. How are you,
Howdy,
man?
howdy. Good, man.
Matt
I'm
Fancy,
excited to be on.
Welcome back. Looking good. Looking spiffy
How's
as
everybody?
always.
How's
Look at
everybody?
that, man.
Love the sweater.
Lots of stuff happened this weekend. A fun week 6. Sad to say we are already a third of the way through the regular season of the NFL. But lots of fun stuff to talk about. Some sad stuff to talk about. For the two guys that start with M on this pod. But the first thing I want to touch base on before I let you just absolutely rail every Cowboys fan that we have, Matt. The Detroit-Dallas game, Fancy, you'll be a fan of this, was a scoregami. It was
wow.
the
There we go.
1,087th unique final score in NFL history, 47-9. So that's never happened in NFL history. For those that are listening that are new to that, a scoregami has never happened before. So that is the first time that NFL score has ever happened.
And we said that's twice this year already. Then
Twice.
right?
That's twice
Yeah.
in 6 weeks that we've gotten it. So, and what a better way to have it happen? Literally just watching the Cowboys get absolutely blown out.
Oh,
So I'll
goodness.
just hand the keys over to you, Matt. I mean, just give me every dirty detail of that game.
No, 47-9. You knew going into it, hopefully it was going to be a revenge game from last year where we should have won that game against Dallas. So what I thought was hilarious was not only game plan obviously just destroyed them, but we tried to get the ball to 3 different linemen. Okay.
Was that revenge? Was that like that we should have won? So we're gonna score a touchdown with an O lineman.
Okay, 1,000%. The one in the end zone to try to get Decker another touchdown. Absolutely. I think the one to Penei Sewell, which was another hook and ladder shake and bake play that we saw between Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams the week prior. That one was just for fun, right? That was just just to show everybody that we can do whatever we want on offense. Called back on a stupid penalty, but the one that I thought was even more funny was lining up Skipper out as wide receiver. So it wasn't
so goofy, dude. It looked so goofy.
I know. To me, that was the icing on it for sure. But with all of that, just absolutely, railing them 47-9 came the Hutchinson injury, which is just absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to see it at your own risk, go ahead and go on Twitter and check that out. But he snapped.
There were so many memes that I was just like, the commentators were like, we were not going to show it, and then it was like me opening up Twitter. Like it's just like it's just all over,
Yeah. There
were some funny memes about the Lions game though, especially with all the O linemen getting lined up and everything like that. Fancy, I know I've definitely sent them to you, but like that audio, just like the guy heavy breathing, I'm like, line that bitch up, and it was like Dan Campbell, like, are we sure we want to use like all these trick plays? We're up 30 points, and it's like Dan Campbell, like, line that bitch up, like it's just like it's like Skipper like lining up against a 180 corner, it's like, dude, we're really wasting all these plays now.
Absolutely.
I thought it was funny how after every failed Dallas drive, they would show CD on the sideline looking at the camera like he was Jim from The Office.
Yeah, he did like a
like
Jim,
he was like
Jim
so
look,
over
like
it. Yeah, like he knew exactly which one to look
this
at.
Is what we're doing. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was brutal.
But I mean, speaking of wide receivers that are maybe unhappy like CD, you had Amari Cooper, Marcus. Obviously, we saw him get traded to the Bills. We saw Devontae Adams get traded to the Jets. Leading off of Hutchinson going down, and the Bills getting Cooper. Are we going to see the Browns maybe move Myles Garrett, maybe move Chubb? I don't think they'll move Chubb. I think he's just too loyal. But obviously more than that. But they have a lot of key pieces, like we talked about. They made maybe 6-8 Pro Bowlers, right? That are just kind of sitting there. And you mentioned to me the second oldest NFL roster in the league with no draft picks. So. Yeah. I mean, do we start the fire sale now or next week?
What it's looking like, man, and it's kind of the final straw is just everything kind of collapsing around this Barry regime. I mean, we have Stefanski, who seems like he has no power within the organization anymore. I mean, anyone with a brain can see that Deshaun is heavily struggling, and I mean, he was
heavily hated.
Yeah. And the fan base is just drilling him every week. And a fun fact that I have about him is out of 566 eligible quarterbacks since 2007 in yards per attempt, he's 565th. I don't know who 566 is, but I mean it's ugly. It's ugly to watch.
And they're paying him like a top 5. So
according to I think it was Schefter, it would take 2 first-rounders to send him away. I mean, we're down bad. We're an old team. We don't have a ton of picks. And then not only do we not have a lot of picks, but Barry hasn't done a single thing with the picks in the last 4 years. We haven't re-signed a single player that he's drafted. So it's kind of
just overpaid.
It's kind of a
Jerry Jeudy
catch-22.
and
Yeah.
Well, and what they get back in the Amari Cooper, because wasn't it like they got 2 picks? Thought, right? They got 2 picks, but then they also like traded. They had to trade away a pick too, right? So it was like a 3rd and a 7th, but then they gave away something else too. So like, I mean, they really didn't make out that great on that trade.
And well, and the thing, not to defend the Browns organization, but like they're going to lose Cooper no matter what, because at the end of the year his contract's up, so you kind of got to get something out of it. He didn't want to be there, led the league in drops. A lot of there's some fan bases that are or some part of your guys' fan base that are like defending, like we need to get rid of him. He led us in drops. It's like you don't think like a pro through like he is, like he's dropping the football. Like get me the fuck out of here. Like I don't care. Like I like just get me out of the situation.
I mean, but if you're selling, if you're the Browns and you're selling, go ahead and we'll take Miles.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe you guys can coordinate like a Myles Garrett or like I mean Matt would be happy. Maybe we'll see Max Crosby go that way or something.
Oh yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. That would be nice.
One more thing before we get into the standings is one of the funniest things I saw was this week in fantasy football there was a lot of big name guys that just like really fell through in terms of points for fantasy owners. You had Dak Prescott. So if you basically, I'm gonna give you guys a lineup. Okay. And if you had this lineup, this is who you lost to. Okay. Dak Prescott, 3.2 points. Travis Etienne, minus 0.1. Zach Moss, 0. Olave, 0.5 or minus 0.5. Marvin Harrison, 0. Dallas Goedert, 0. Calvin Ridley, 0. Cairo Santos, 5 points. Cowboys defense, minus 7 for a total of minus 0.4 points. You would have lost to Tua Tagovailoa on the IR that week. Literally, that's somebody's impressive lineup that legitimately had that. It's like, I think if I would have tuned in or not, like logged into my app and I would have seen that, I mean, you guys probably just wouldn't even hear it from me at that point. Like, I'm done with fantasy football. I'm done with football. Like, there's no way. I've never even had a game or a week close to that, and I pray that I never, ever do. So that's a quick little summary of everything. We'll see how the Davante Adams trade plays out with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is officially the LeBron James of the NFL, like we talked about last week, Matt. We'll see what he does next week after they lose this week. Maybe we'll get someone else traded to that team too. But with that being said, we have the AFC standings after 6 weeks. We are a third of the way through. I will say the Steelers do stick out on me if we start at the AFC North. I did think they were going to be okay, but Fancy, your bold prediction this year was that the Steelers were going to finally have that under 500. And we're already seeing a mix-up, which doesn't really make much sense. Fields did get benched going into this week. 4-2 start for him, 10 total touchdowns, only 1 interception. And they're giving the keys back over to Russell Wilson now that he's healthy and activated. Definitely an interesting move by them, to say the least. The Chiefs, though, 5-0. The Texans, 5-1. And the Bills, 4-2. If the AFC West, if they don't start doing something, the Chiefs are definitely going to start running away with that. And same thing with the AFC East. I think the Bills, are probably going to be the clear cut, winners of that division. The teams that are really surprising, honestly, here are obviously the Bengals, the Browns, and the Jags. I mean, we thought we'd see more out of those teams, especially the Bengals. I feel like that's probably the one team going into last week that was 1-4. That was probably the best 1-4 team we've seen in a long time. And then
tons of talent.
Yeah, and then honestly, did we think the Broncos were going to win? I mean, even 4 games this season, let alone be 3-3. Like, and
again,
correct me if I'm wrong,
right?
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this post Thursday. So in a few hours, that Thursday night matchup of the Broncos Saints that we're going to dive into, I think there's a lot of us that are siding with the Broncos in that matchup. So it's interesting how this is all playing out. I've already seen. I was already like disgusted by it. I already saw a playoff picture posted, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like did we not learn anything from last year about how these things can turn up? Because I'm sure one of these teams that are not leading at the end of the year are going to end up being the leaders
Yeah.
at some point.
If we could go back right fast, there's one thing I want to say right quick. Between Cincinnati and Houston, if you look at the games, Houston could just as easily be in the same boat,
Yes.
and Cincinnati
Yep.
could be right there on top
I
of
saw that
Baltimore.
statistic on it, like with the
I mean, it's
differentials
one
and
score
everything.
games.
Yeah.
It's one score games, and the only game that Houston blew out and actually had a dominant win was against the Patriots.
Yep.
So
Yeah, no, that's definitely a notable
You
thing
know.
to mention because, I mean, and you know what? Like everyone's gonna say, you can say that with every team, but it's the truth. If Joey B just had a little bit of defense, there's a good chance that they would be 5-1 if we're being real.
Right.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
they're
He's
letting
on
up.
fire.
Fancy, you nailed the threshold of 25 points, right? If my offense gives me 25 points, we should win most weeks. If my defense is letting up more than 25 points, we're not going to win. And
Right.
and that defense is letting up an insane amount of points. And Joey B, like me and Matt predicted, is having an MVP season. Just on a 2-4 team. So we'll see if they can
Yeah.
right that ship a little bit.
Yeah.
Right away, the two teams that jump off the board for me on the NFC side of things is Washington and Minnesota. I mean, none of us thought Washington and none of us thought Minnesota. I don't care what anyone says. We thought the records that we see for Detroit, Green Bay, and Chicago were going to be pretty much right where they're at right now. We thought it was going to be a 3-team race. I will say I did see a thing. The Vikings are 5-0, but the teams that they've beaten have combined for a record of 14-12. And the Bears are 4-2, and the teams they've combined to beat are 4-16. So there is the argument you can only beat who you play, right? I mean, that is the thing.
Yeah.
You can't really say it. But not to keep hammering, we do have two people on the show. I'm not going to say any names. If you guys didn't know, we have a Packers fan on the show. The NFC North. I don't know if you got. Yeah, it's you guys can leave in the comments who you guys think it is. It might be Marcus by the end of this week with being
the way it's trending.
But I don't know if you guys saw the combined differential in points by division.
Oh yeah, that was insane.
It's an absolute crazy stats. We'll start at the bottom. AFC South minus 71, AFC East minus 69. Shout out that number. NFC West minus 47, NFC South minus 29. Then we finally get into the positives. NFC East plus 8, AFC North plus 15, AFC West plus 20. So all those numbers are 20 or below, or plus 20 or negative, right? And then you have the NFC North at plus 211.
Wow.
I mean, every single NFC North team is up there in the points differential, in the positive margin. And it's kind of cool to see because early on in the season, Matt, you mentioned, you picked the Bears and we were like, really? You picked the Bears against the Rams. Me and Fancy both went Rams, and you said, I want the Bears to win because I want to be known as the most competitive division in football.
Yep.
And you got it. You
There we
absolutely
are.
got it.
Right here.
Definitely thought it could have been the NFC West. Definitely thought it could have been, maybe another division on the AFC side.
Yeah.
But we do have the most competitive division, definitely, by all means, in NFC North. But who would have thought Washington 4-2? One thing I wanted to dive in on that was with everything we mentioned with your owner, Marcus, and with everything going on. The question that's being asked around right now is: you have Washington that's 4-2, and you have Caleb Williams and the Bears that are 4-2, right? Number 1 draft pick, number 2 draft pick. If you're going into that draft as the Browns and you have that 1 pick, who are you picking right now as a 4-2 quarterback?
That is a hard pick too, because I mean, Jay Daniels might be off to the best start we've ever seen for a rookie quarterback. I mean, his completion percentage is through the roof, and not only do the numbers say it when you look at the box score at the end of the day, but man, he looks calm, cool, collected, and he's not like they were trying to discredit him and say he had a simple offense. He's making complex reads. He's going from the right side of the field to the left side of the field. He's rolling out, throwing dimes downfield. It's hard to pick against him.
Protecting the football, I mean, he's
and
doesn't
that throw
turnovers.
That throw, what was it, a couple weeks ago to McLaurin in the
Against the Browns.
right end zone? Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That throw
Yeah,
Was
I love
it?
it.
Matt, thanks, Matt. Yeah,
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. Matt, who are they playing? Like,
Yeah.
Marcus stands up, walks out. Like,
Yeah.
That throw was, a fifth year quarterback. You know what I mean?
Oh,
he
yeah.
was throwing above his
Mhm.
rookie year with that type of throw. He if he learns to button up his chin strap, he scores, another rushing touchdown, right? So,
yeah, we got to
um,
get that bucket a little bit tighter. That's for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
then,
I think it's just such a tough one. I know Bears fans that are beating themselves up about it because they think if you give Jane Daniels the Bears offense that they currently have, I mean, we've gone over it 1,000 times. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift. I mean, it's just through the roof of talent. But at the same time, he's a less talented coach and a less talented offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Where Jaden Daniels have Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn,
Mhm.
which as a rookie, they're probably making it a little bit easier to adjust into. But at the same time, Caleb Williams has so many targets that even with a weaker system, a less experienced system, you just have so many like offensive weapons that you just should not fail.
Mhm.
So it's just like two different metrics, and it's such an interesting question. I've battled both sides of it, and it's just so tough because it's
Yeah.
football's in good hands. That's just
Yeah,
what I
absolutely.
leave it at is
counterpoint counterpoint for you though, real quick though, is I know obviously it's the first pick or second pick that is the easier debate. What about the number 3rd pick, who we've only seen 1 week so far?
Yep.
But Drake May, he's got a chance to actually
Mhm.
look like a solid quarterback too.
Yeah.
So
and then I
he's
mean
throwing his
even
name in there at least, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, Drake May. I mean, he looked great. We saw him turn the football over twice. I mean, he has nobody like. I mean, I think they're just picking up guys off the street at this point. Some of the wide receivers they have,
Mhm.
I've just never even heard of them before. And then you have Spencer Rattler, who I don't know how serious Derek Carr's. I know it was a oblique injury that he left
Mhm.
in week 5, or no, week 6. I'm sorry. And then Spencer Rattler came in, but so it's one of those things where they drafted him pretty late, and he got the offense moving. I will say that it was
Mhm.
pretty impressive. He came in and that offense was moving. It was a lot better than what I had thought.
They took the lead for a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what
you
I mean.
can't forget they did take the
They
lead.
gave him a little scare, which you just give him a little bit more time. What happens in that situation with the Saints is are they debating benching Derek Carr after the hot start that we saw? We saw him go 2-0 and put up 40+
Mhm.
points, and now they're 2-4. Right?
They are such a victim to injuries. I mean,
Yeah.
they have one of the most beat up teams in football, and it all starts with their starting center and both guards have been out, and they were the whole life. Their whole offense is based off of the zone running scheme with Kamara, and once they kind of lost that identity, you saw a couple weeks of their offense dipping below. I think they went 2 weeks in a row below 10 points. I mean,
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Is when you
it's
start
hard
off
to win
averaging
when you're beat up.
46, you start off averaging 46 or 44 points, and now you're 2-4. It's like what
Mhm.
Taysom Hill out and all these guys banged up, and it's just one of those where that was one of the shocking ones. Is we thought maybe we were in for a treat in that NFC South of like
Oh yeah.
this might be a little bit more competitive than we thought because the Saints defense has been very good this year so far.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
that brings us right into it. Before we get into the matchups, we did spend a lot of time making new graphics for you guys. So we're going to do the matchups a little bit different this week. We're going to break down the games in 4 different slides. Me, Matt, and V spent a lot of time last night making the new graphics. So let us know down in the comments what you guys think. But we'll start off with the primetime games. This is the chalkboard, the slate of games. So we have the week 7 primetime games for you guys. We have Thursday night football, Sunday night football, and then 2 Monday night footballs because there's only 2 teams on a bye this week. So that gives us 2 Monday night football games, which kind of sucks because they're going to be back to back. They're going to be back to back on the Monday night games, which sucks because it's like 7:15 and then 7:45 or some shit like that, which
Mhm.
you kind of have to debate which one you want to watch because I think both these games are going to be pretty good.
Mhm.
But before we dive into that, we do have to look at our records. Matt, you almost did it. You almost did it.
I know that Thursday night
Um,
game got me.
It was one of the easier one. If you just went with the favorited team in the matchup, you would have had it.
Yep.
But Fancy, 12-2. It's 53-39. Matt stays at the top at 13-1, going 54-38 on the season. I went 11-3. Who would have thought 11-3 would have been the lowest record of the week?
Yeah.
But I'm at 51-41 on the season. But yeah, if you just would have went with that one team, Matt, that one team that was favored,
I
it was a weird
know.
week. Every single team won that was favored
Mhm.
besides one team, and it was the Colts. And the Colts, we all thought, I mean, as a consensus on a pod, we all picked the Colts. So we didn't really think they should have been not favored in that matchup.
Correct.
So it was one of those weeks where like every single team literally that was favored won. So if you threw $10 on it, you definitely could have walked away with a lot of money. But right there, we have the Thursday night football game. Fancy is the only person that took the Saints. One thing that sticks out to us is we highlight the team that is favored on the money line. That's the new feature that we have. All of the primetime games, all of the away teams are favored, which is kind of interesting to see. Definitely would not be something that we would have caught on to in our old format. So this is something that we're looking forward to, especially with talking points throughout the pod. But Matt and Marcus, we took the Broncos going into New Orleans tonight, technically. So Marcus, give me a little rundown of what you got going into the Thursday night game.
I think this game just comes down to health. Like we said, the Saints are really beat up, and not only are they beat up, but on the offensive side, but on the defensive side, they're allowing 5.1 yards a carry. And what have the Broncos been doing this year? They've been running a really pro-style offense. They've been running the ball frequently on first downs, and they've been kind of letting Bo Nix come into the games late, and he's looked good. So I'm going to ride with the Broncos this week. I think it probably will be a typical Thursday night low-scoring game, but we'll see.
Yeah, that over/under set at 37, which I mean isn't. I mean, you look at the Monday night games versus these first two games we're going to talk about, and it's like, oh boy, this might be a field goal fest. I think I speak for both of us, Matt, with taking the Broncos. We're taking the Broncos defense. That's where I look at it. Is the Broncos defense is going to be a nightmare for Spencer Rattler if he's still getting the start. I haven't heard anything on it. I haven't really looked into it, but I'm pretty sure he is getting the starts. In tonight's matchup. But that's pretty much where me and you sit, Matt, is we kind of just the Broncos defense is legit. I mean, they confused Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, and I mean they've confused a lot of defenses or offenses, and that's to me is why they're 3-3. But Fancy, give me I mean what we got cooking here? Is this the fancyism? Is this just the
dude,
you know?
This is one of those things where what makes sense never happens on Thursday nights, it seems.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. As far as I know, when I made this pick and leading up into, just a few minutes ago, Derek Carr is still out, which is fine because, no need to risk your number one getting hurt while the rest of your number ones are recovering. Spencer Rattler didn't look bad enough, like so bad that you would have to immediately bench him if you could put Carr in. And, I mean, it's just as good as we've seen the Broncos play. We've also seen them look terrible.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm going home field and the Thursday night. It's just what makes sense doesn't make sense.
Yeah, just that tipping point of being at home, And then so we go from Thursday night to Sunday night football. We have the Jets Steelers. Mike Tomlin already talked about how he's had to game scheme against Davante Adams back-to-back weeks now because he's supposed to play. He played the Raiders last week, and so he had to kind of implement it. So it's a whole different thing. I'll let you guys run away with it. Matt, tell me why you are leaning towards the Jets in this matchup. Is it just the Davante Adams, Aaron Rodgers? Because all three of you guys went with it.
I'm excited. I'm excited for them to just keep that rolling. I think that was a great connection they had in Green Bay. So that news kind of pushes it in the Jets direction. Another thing that maybe pushes it away from the Steelers direction is the news of the confusion at quarterback spot now. Like, I feel like the Steelers players were behind Justin Fields in being inadequate. He was not losing for them. He might not be winning the games for him too, but
and that's okay. The Steelers football sometimes is just like, hey, don't lose us the game.
That's what it comes down to. So to me, it's more of why. I mean, we kind of thought going into the season, I thought it was going to be the other way around. Is when was Russell going to lose the job? But now that Russell is gaining the job, to me it feels weird. So that pushed me in the direction of let's get this offense of the Jets kind of moving now that you've got this amazing, receiver. Aaron's going to just love his offensive game plan now. And then, you can't retract away from Breece Hall too. You're still going to have him at running back.
We finally saw him look better last week with the new offensive play caller.
Yep.
We saw a lot less of Braylon Allen too. I mean, they really said, hey, we're going to give our best players the ball. And Garrett Wilson had 13-something targets. Brees Hall carried the ball 18 times that game.
Yeah. I mean,
And
Garrett
that was-
Wilson literally #1 targets in the league right now, like going
Yeah.
into this week. So
Well, and you had Lazard also. Like we
Mhm.
saw both of those guys.
Yeah.
If you look back at our graphic that we put out each week, they were both in the top 5 last week. So now you're gonna have another #1 receiver into that
Yeah.
mix.
which
So-
before I get to my talking point, it does kind of suck for Lazard because I feel like he was finally having that career year for himself. He really was having a really good year.
Mhm.
And now he's just gonna get drowned out in depth chart, right? I mean, you got Brees Hall, you got to feed, you got Garrett Wilson, you got Devontae. I mean, the odds of him getting, he was averaging, I think, 4 catches a game. The odds of him getting that, I mean, probably go down to 10%, if that's.
His chances of being open do increase quite a
They
bit.
do
now.
increase. I just
Yep.
mean in terms of snap
Yep.
count. I just don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Productivity.
And so it's gonna be interesting. A lot of people don't think that the Adams Wilson thing, because Rodgers has always compared Wilson to Adams in a lot of different ways.
Mhm.
That they don't think they're going to complement each other very well, but I do think they will complement each other very well. The reason I went with the Steelers is we talked about the games that sometimes being that home team does take the advantage. I do always love the Steelers at home. It's gonna be a hard, gritty game of both really good defenses. The quarterback matchup definitely is a toss-up. It's a really weird situation, but I just don't know how quickly that, like, the Jets offense is very confusing right now. Like it's I mean, even last week, it's they look better. I'm not denying that, but it still is just not complete. Between all the offensive line changes and injuries and everything else going on, you start adding new pieces, different offensive coordinator, different play call. There's so many stuff going on. New head coach, like there's so much going on that I just don't think adding Devontae Adams all of a sudden makes this Jets team a complete team going into the next week. It's going to be a limited amount of time that they get used to each other. I also don't love the Steelers in this matchup at the same time.
Yeah.
I did pick them. I don't like the change. The way that I read into it is pretty much Russell Wilson in camp won the starting job, is the way they basically said it. And so he won it and deserves a spot to lose it, is pretty much what they said. So in my mind, Fields didn't do anything. Now, what that does to his confidence level, I don't know. I think it's a really bad move. But hey, who are we to judge Mike Tomlin when he has the most seasons above 500, right? I mean, he's clearly got an idea. I also think it's a suicide game where maybe they know that Russell Wilson's going to look like absolute dog shit against this #1 pass defense in the Jets. And it's going to be their way of just like, hey, we gave Russ a chance. See you later. And we're bringing in Fields.
Right.
What would be interesting though is because they talked about it, is maybe throwing together some packages where they're both out there.
Yeah.
Maybe, to me, I would love to keep the confidence going with Justin Fields if they actually did that.
Especially a 10-to-1 touchdown ratio. I just don't. It just the Steelers haven't had that since Big Ben. You saw them struggle with Kenny Pickett. You saw them struggle with Mason Rudolph. You saw them struggle. I mean, everyone that they brought in has sucked. And you bring in Justin Fields, he brings you to 4-2 and a 10-to-1 ratio, and he brings an element to your quarterback position that the league is transitioning into in terms of the run game.
Yep.
That the Steelers have never had. I mean, Big Ben couldn't barely move to the sideline, and now you have a guy that like Fields is just so athletic. It's so confusing. Hopefully, Justin Fields just doesn't get impacted by this, because I think he is the future of the Steelers in terms of quarterback longevity. So I mean, we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting Sunday night matchup for us to look into. But I do think it's going to be a defensive battle where guys like TJ Watt make a big difference at home, especially with that gritty. It's going to be cold in Pittsburgh. It's just going to be a gritty game that I think it's going to be fun to watch. It would have been a fun game to watch if Big Ben was still under center for the Steelers. Imagine Rodgers with the Jets versus Big Ben and the Steelers. Be sick.
Oh, man.
We get into the first Monday Night Football game with the Ravens and the Bucks. We all took the Ravens, which definitely was a shocker to us, because I thought we had, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought we had an Oklahoma Sooners fan on our pod.
I thought so too.
Do you know where the Baker Mayfield went to college at, Matt? Do you know where did he go to Texas?
I don't know. I'm
Okay.
not
Did
sure.
go to Texas Tech before
No,
going to
I really
Oklahoma.
did. This is the one matchup. This is the one matchup where I do want to get into the analytics of things. So Marcus, I will call on you in a second, because I definitely want to hear the analytics side of it. But Fancy, I really did, like, out of all the games, this is the one that I'm like, okay, Fancy's going Bucks. Like I just moved you over there without even thinking about it. So I guess I just want to hear.
Yeah, how do we bring you over to the Ravens?
How do we bring you to the dark side? Like, how do we?
Okay. Well, I don't know if that's the
He's
right
sweating.
word.
You see him, he's like, good Lord.
So my biggest thing, and as much as I love Baker Mayfield for it, he's really liking throwing to the other team right now, and he's
the Josh
managed to
Allen
dig
effect, yeah.
himself out of that issue like most of the time. But between those interceptions that have kind of picked up a little bit, and then Derrick Henry, I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do to stop it. And if you can't stop Derrick Henry, we cannot afford 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's basically where I was like, and I don't know which one you can do.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
going
I
into
mean,
last week, he
twofold.
only had 2 picks, and he threw 3 against the Saints, which, like, at some point they were up, I think, like 17-0 on the Saints, and all of a sudden,
Right.
like, it like tuned back, red zone like tuned back in, and the Saints were winning. I was like, "What
Yeah,
the
it was like
fuck just happened?"
2017 at
Like,
that
yeah, I was like,
point,
"What
yeah.
just
You
happened?"
you give
know?
Lamar that chance to come back,
Yeah.
you're not catching back up and putting 51 on him.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Even
very
at
good.
home,
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
With that being said, Marcus, let's hear. I mean, there's definitely the analytics side of it, of the Ravens.
I definitely think it's a matter of what Bucks show up. I mean, they kind of been giant killers this year. I mean, they beat the Lions, the Eagles, and the Commanders, who are 3 of some of the best teams in football, but they've also lost some ugly games. And just like you said, they almost threw away that Saints game. So Baker leads the league in touchdown passes. The Ravens allow the most passing yards in football. So, I mean, you could see a world where this game might take off, and the over-under shows that 48.5. They expect points to be laid down on the field, and you just really hope that the good Baker shows up. He's a pretty streaky quarterback. I would know. He quarterbacked my team for a handful of years, and
What would you do to have him back right now?
All right, we're not gonna make him cry. Like every 5 minutes, it's just like all of a sudden you just see like a tear go. I'm not coming back on this pod.
Yeah, right. I would have gave up a lot for Flacco. So Baker's a little above that. So
Yeah.
what do you think, Matt?
Shout out to Joe.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, Ravens, to me, their offense is kind of weird. Even with Henry just running away with it, they've found a way to throw it to 3 different tight ends. You don't know
really weird this year.
You don't know which tight end or if it's going to be multiple. It was really good to see Mark Andrews involved, getting the targets and the yards now. But Isaiah Likely, anytime it looks like a powerhouse. You had Kohler, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
Step up and get touchdowns too.
Kind of just and he even said they're all kind of just decoying for each other. Like, you can't guard all 3 of us because our size. There's no formation you guys can throw out there that's going to stop all these 6'6" tight ends. Like, there's nothing. Like,
and then on top of that, don't forget we have a speedy wide receiver that you're not going to catch.
Yeah, you line up a 3 tight end with him on the outside, and it's like you got to watch him. You got to watch the 3 tight ends, and then don't forget you have a giant behind Lamar that he can hand it off to at any point, and then he can fake it. And Lamar is the fastest player on the field, so it's. I mean, the Ravens. Yeah. They start off 0-2, and they're exactly like right now they're in the exact spot that we thought they were going to be in going into the season. We never thought they'd start off 0-2, but they're the exact team that is finally off the ground and running. Probably for me, one of the scariest teams in football if they can figure out their defense, like you emphasized, Marcus. They are just getting torched.
But
I will say this is the funner Monday Night Football matchup out of the 2. I think the other one is going to be interesting to watch. We have the Chargers and the Cardinals. Fancy, you're the only one on the Cardinals side, which is weird because now you're supporting Oklahoma, which I don't really understand what's going on. But Matt, since this is like your second football team, being your Michigan coach,
Yeah,
I'm glad. Give us the rundown. Matt, the Lions, Ravens, Chargers fan.
I'm glad to see you guys over on the Chargers side. Again, I picked them to win the division. I thought they were going to be, somehow be able to outlast the Chiefs. Chiefs obviously looking very strong, so it's a tough one right now. But the Chargers are looking good to me. We had a weird, scary scenario. I don't know if you guys caught it. Coach went into the blue tent, and everybody's like, "What the heck is going on? How is a coach listed as questionable to return?"
Yeah, like, damn it, my fantasy lineups were ruined.
So that was weird. Obviously, presser afterwards, he talks about the arrhythmia, and he talked about being 2-0 when he had the heart issues going on. But obviously, scary for a second there. But I think again, like you've heard me harp on time and time again. He's a great coach. Leader of men. and
Mhm.
I think he's kind of getting this team rallied around him, and they're playing well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's kind of. I mean, in the beginning of the season, we thought that this could be a team that could definitely compete up there. Maybe not in year one. They definitely need to add some weapons around Justin Herbert,
Mhm.
but the team is getting such a different discipline aspect of football that they never had before. It's like when you get that veteran coach that's in there, kind of like what the Jets need, like to clear things. It's
Mhm.
like the Chargers like cleaned house, and they, I mean, even their talents they just got rid of, and the team is better than when the team had all that talent, and that just goes to show how like a high of a pedigree that Harbaugh is because of that. It's like he can make a team win with less talent because of just the discipline that he approaches the game with. Nobody loves football more than him. I can tell you that. So I just have them coming off a bye. They're gonna be feeling a little fresh, ready to go. Get those guys that are questionable back. I do think the one thing that I love about this matchup is I do love McConkey against the Cardinals secondary. That's one thing. I wish I could take him in the DraftKings lineup. I couldn't figure out a way to make it work with my lineup, but I do like Lab McConkey going into this week. But fancy Kyler
Dude,
Murray,
I mean, this is
Oklahoma.
one of those ones, man. I mean, yeah, we've only got a few weeks left before Black Ops 6 comes out,
This is his
so
last win.
we have to capitalize on the best Kyler Murray we probably have.
Top 10 quarterback right now.
He is. He's as far as yards goes, he's got Herbert beat by almost 400. I mean, he does have another pick,
Yeah.
but one pick and 400 yards, that's a game.
Yeah.
You know, that's a whole extra game.
Yep.
And I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is possibly to be back on Sunday, and you know, maybe we get some more connections there. If that connection is there, I like it. And you know, I mean, that's Herbert. Herbert's got a great coach, but not much to work with.
Yeah. McConkey's
And-
number one. I mean, you look
yeah.
at it, just Cardinals
Yeah.
are better, talented offense for sure. It's just
They
Chargers
obviously
O-line and defense is Chargers defense is kind of like a Broncos defense for me. It's like that's why I'm taking them. I think it's gonna be tough for Kyler to get anything going.
I mean,
If Marvin's out, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So they've been really cautious with concussion protocol.
Right.
I mean, other than Josh Allen, for some reason they don't care with his concussion.
There was no chance
But-
of sitting.
But other than that, yeah, I mean, they have been cautious. So especially with a rookie, they might, you get the extra day, Monday Night Football, you get the extra day, so maybe he's cleared,
Yeah.
but that's something to watch for sure.
Yep.
Plus, I mean, look what they did to the Niners.
Yeah, they have it in them for
Never know.
sure.
They have the talent there to surprise some teams, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Just I think they have far too many holes in their defense though to keep up with a Harbaugh-led team. I think that the Chargers are going to find out a way to score 21, 24 points, and I think that's going to be all they need. So
Yep, absolutely. And then we have the Patriots playing the London Jaguars. You guys all took the Jaguars, even though Marcus did want to come back over to the Patriots side once he did some research. But my quick thing, Jaguars suck. I mean, that's just. I mean, not saying the Patriots don't suck. I'm just saying like I'll take the rookie. Like it's against the odds. Drake may look good. That's pretty much just the spiel that I have. It's like I don't really have much detail other than that. The Jaguars secondary is just literally one of the worst in the league. Like that's just, and so I think the Patriots defense is better, and I just think they can limit that offense for the Jaguars. And I mean, I think that's just good enough for me to take the Patriots.
Yeah, what's going to be funny is, Patriots are going to look like a superstar offense all of a sudden, when they play the Jags. But I don't want to hold back from, the opportunities that the Jags have now, because with Brian Thomas Jr. Playing really well, not last week, but he still got a bunch of targets in the red zone. Evan Ingram back. You saw it last week, 10 receptions.
One of Lawrence's best games. I mean, of the year.
For over 100 yards, having him back in there. And then, kind of the guy I was on the lookout for, Tank Bigsby, stepping in that role. I think they can beat, a Drake May led New England team, even if it, and it's on their home turf in London. They get to stay there. They stayed there for a week. They're now acclimated to the
no jet lag, no.
I mean,
there.
The advantage is for them, making that, because it's kind of a cool trip you get to do, right? You get to experience this thing, going over there. You know, you want to see the sights.
Yeah,
and
Trevor
stuff
Lawrence
like
has got a
that.
house over there, basically, pretty much. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
so
getting
with
ready
them
to move
being
in. You know, I mean,
with them being there for a week, you know, they got all that out of their system, and now they get to go play football.
yeah, for sure. It'll be an interesting one to wake up to and see. To get into the noon games, though, one of the funner new games we'll be able to watch is probably this Atlanta Seahawks game, which we all took. Which we'll get back to that in a second because I just want to skip through the other ones. We all took the Bills. We all took the Bengals. Nothing to really talk about in those matchups. The Bills should easily beat the Titans. Just another one to kind of just chalk a win on the column. Same thing with the Bengals. Well, you never know. Like you said, Marcus, the Browns are notorious for beating the Bengals, kind of that Ohio rivalry. I know that's a big word for you guys. I can spell it out for you later. But we all did take the Bengals. Joey being the Bengals, they just got to get in the win column again. They got to get out of this 1-4 thing. So it's kind of a must-need win for them if they're going to actually make a playoff run with his MVP caliber season that he's having. But to get back to the Falcons game, we all did take it. Probably going to be a lot closer game. Seattle coming off of, I think, 3 straight losses. I think that sounds right. 3 straight losses. So, I mean, for me, I kind of talked about it with you, Marcus, earlier today. We all kind of bashed the Falcons pretty early on, specifically Kirk Cousins. You know, him spiking the ball into the ground, not planting it, not having any power on his throws. But we're starting to see him not only get healthier and more confident in himself in terms of just healing from that Achilles injury from, you know, sooner than Rodgers came back, right?
Mhm.
But he's getting Kyle Pitts involved. We saw Bijan Robinson get involved last week. Drake London's having a career year for himself. We're seeing Darnell Mooney have the year that he had with the Bears when he had a 1,000+ or almost 1,000+ receiving yard game or season with the Bears. So that offense is finally clicking. That offense is really finally clicking. They're home. I like Atlanta's defense, especially if Judon and what's his name are healthy. Seattle's just starting to drop games. I think this is where their confidence is kind of just dropping and dropping and dropping. They could probably really use a bye week right now to kind of hit that reset button and see what's going on. So I just have them dropping this game with Atlanta's looking good as they are. I'm happy. Atlanta's who I had winning the NFC South. So that's kind of where my, points came from, at least.
Look at that over under 51. That's got to be the highest, right? So
Gino and Kirk are probably both top 3, top 5 in passing yards this season, right? I mean,
are we gonna see like a 900-yard passing between the two?
Kirk is going to continue. Kirk is just, every week is going to continue to like break the Atlanta Falcons passing yard record.
Yep.
I also, to throw in there, I didn't realize that his game that he had 509 was the Matt Ryan retirement night.
Right.
Yeah.
He broke his record on his night.
Yeah. I feel like
insult to injury.
That would be such a shitty thing of like you got the 28-3 thing hanging over your head. You know, it's like, they're probably going to retire my number. You go in there and then it's like the only thing you like have left. It's like, thanks.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate it.
I mean, and to have 500 yards, which I mean,
man,
and to win off of a terribly managed final drive by the Bucks. I mean, it's like you know, I've had plenty of bad things, or not bad things to say about Kirk, but I've been skeptical of Kirk for a long time. And it's like to do that and still barely win. A win's a win. I'm not taking away from it, but it's like the Bucks gave it to you. Like there's so much that needs, like, I have questions. You know, just so many. Like,
What's like, how much more can he do? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like 500.
You can't ask more out of him.
We talked about it. 3 out of those 4 wins that Atlanta has have come. Matt, we emphasized it last week on the pod together. 3 out of those 4 wins are legitimately last drive comeback wins by Kirk Cousins. Like the last drive, he came down the field. I mean, and he was Kirk O'Chains, like, and it's like he's doing everything. I mean, Atlanta without Kirk Cousins right now would probably be 0-6.
Yeah, I don't think that's far-fetched to say. I think
you had 3 game-winning drives. You think Desmond Ritter or
not a shot.
Maybe Michael Penix get that done? It's like
maybe.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah,
so it's like Desmond Ritter for sure.
I'm doubtful. I'm doubtful.
So it's like that's pretty impressive, and it's like people were skeptic about it. Of maybe like did we overpay Kirk? I mean, we could all debate if he was overpaid, but you know,
There's
should we have-
Let's
way
go,
worse
let's go.
quarterbacks that are overpaid.
there's worse quarterbacks that are overpaid, and
Yeah,
there's
trust.
quarterbacks that are older that are getting
Sean
paid.
Watson.
You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
yeah, we won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
We won't
He's-
name any Dak
he just-
Prescotts or anything.
Yeah, he's just never gonna come on the pod again. It's just like Deshaun Watson, like,
Getting drilled.
Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield. Like every other. We're talking about the Packers game. He's like, how about Baker Mayfield? Like everything
Yeah.
just comes back to the
Well,
Browns.
yeah.
You know.
I mean, we're kind of the laughing stock of the league again, and we did it to ourselves. So I mean,
Yep.
we kind of made this fight.
Finally filled the stands and then traded everybody away.
Dog
Yeah,
pound, baby.
Yeah.
I will say I would have loved to see this first game. I would have loved to absolutely see it move to a prime game. Like I would
Oh,
have taken this over the Chargers, Cardinals. I would have taken over the
Mhm.
Jets, Steelers. I would have taken
Yep.
over the Thursday night game. Like
Yep.
this should have been moved at some point. This is, I mean, fancy, it's your team, so I will definitely let you have the most talking point on it. But Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, it's like I talked about it before the podcast started. NFC and AFC, it's like they are identical teams. They are young, they are well coached,
hmm
young potential quarterbacks, young potential wide receivers. I mean, it's like on every side of the field, they are like the identical team. I do think the Packers have a better defense. That's where it shifted to me. And I talked about in Lambeau, those teams like the Steelers, like Eagles, Lions, those teams that play at home. It's like I will take them when I have a coin toss game. That's my deciding factor. Is I'm going to go with Green Bay because it's in Lambeau.
Yeah. No. Okay. So basically, we started off in a game that we knew this season against the Eagles, and it came down final drive. We saw Love get hurt. We knew it was going to be a close one. And then a couple wins, a close game that we lost, a bunch of interceptions, Love's return, and then boom, now we're rolling again. And what I'm seeing is kind of like the second half of the season last year with Love and everybody is just a little slight snowball effect of them getting better. And I mean, Dobbs, he had his little friction during the week, and then boom, he shows up big time.
And shout out to
for-
his teammates. Not to cut you off. I don't know if you guys saw that
Yeah.
whole thing, but that was an awesome
They
story
showed
if you guys
all
didn't
sorts
know.
of
Yeah.
love.
Yep.
I mean, you could see it in the end zone. The celebration was just support.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, he was going through some mental battles and stuff like that. His teammates were there the whole way. So him
Yeah.
catching that touchdown, him hugging his teammates was like a really emotional time for him. And they thought there was more going on about it. Like there was friction
Right.
with the coach, but it had nothing to do with
No.
that. He had some personal stuff that was going on and fought through it. And I mean,
Yeah.
had himself a day. That inside, knowledge right there too, by the way, of Fancy giving you, the Packers. If you guys didn't know, that is coming from a Packers owner.
Yeah. No,
I mean-
I'm not just a fan. I'm not a mere supporter. These are my guys. Okay. I have tough decisions I make week to week, phone calls that have to be made, and someday they'll be answered. And it's I have words to say in January when I'm up there. I have to I got a couple people on my notes here that I'm gonna have to take but pick a bone with. But anyways, it is going to be a close game. I mean,
And it's one of those games too where even if you guys drop the ball, like your guys' last loss, yeah, Love threw a lot of picks. I mean, you can tell that leg was still hurting him. He did come back a little bit too early, I think, but he still played great. Besides those picks, I mean, you can't complain. It's like I will take losses like that. You will take losses where your team still is throwing up points and losing. If they lose this game, I think the over/under is a lot lower than I thought it was going to be. Like I thought we were going to see. I thought we were going to see a 50+ like we've seen a lot of these matchups in, because I think it's very. I mean, it's going to be a power punch in this game. But it's one of those games where, hey, if they lose, 42 to 30, whatever, it's like
can't be mad at that.
Can't be mad about it. You know what I mean? It's a good Texans team, and it could be a Super Bowl game. I mean, that's the first time we've mentioned on the pod. It could be a Super Bowl matchup. So,
I mean, obviously missing Nico kind of sucks for this matchup for Texans.
We've seen Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs really step up.
Absolutely. But so what I will say is we saw Joe Mixon come back and just playing really well. I thought we were going to see. I thought we were going to see that, out of Jacobs a little bit more. He had a quiet 18 carries, 60 yards, but it was really the receiving game last week that was really good out of Green Bay. That Love seems like he can just spread it around anywhere, right?
And that's what you're used to seeing out of Green Bay since 1993 or 92, whenever Brett Favre got there, which is. That's it. I mean, since then, my whole life. that's what
we've
you
talked
see.
about it. We would rather have a younger receiving core like the Packers of like every single guy can pop off every single week, and they're okay with it. Like, hey, it's your week this
Yeah.
week, go whatever.
Yep.
The interesting thing is, Matt, you did mention that I thought the same thing with Josh Jacobs. I feel like we've seen maybe not a lot of production out of him. Where do you think, if you just had any of you guys can answer this, if you guys could guess, if you know the answer to it, don't say it, but if you had a guess where Josh Jacobs is listed on the rushing leaders this season, where would you think? Like, give me top 15, top 20. Like, give me.
I'd say like 20. I'm gonna say 22.
I think he's
Marcus?
higher than that. I would say 12.
I think he's top 5.
He's number 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
'Cause
that's
he
what's
has-
interesting.
quiet.
Yeah,
Just like I
that's
said,
what's interesting is
quiet.
it's that he's not getting in the end zone. It's the 70-80, 70-80,
Yeah.
7. You know, if you just get in that, if you get that every week, man. I mean, you have a 1,200-yard season. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the reality of it.
Well, and he
Um,
doesn't get the catches out of the backfield either.
Right.
So you're right. It's
Yeah,
it's got to be all rushing out
Yeah,
of
he
him.
still
He's,
is it's a random fun fact that I have in the back of my head. I don't know why I have it. You guys will laugh, but he's actually the NFL record holder of the most receptions out of the backfield without a receiving touchdown.
Oh,
He has no
kidding.
receiving touchdown his entire NFL
Yeah.
career.
Wow.
He has
Have a
like
hard time
he has like
finding the-
he's got I don't know how many catches he has, but he has like it's like over 100 something catches. That he has no between the Raiders and the Packers. He's never caught a receiving touchdown.
Well, it's because the Raiders don't really score, and then we throw our touchdowns. It's just that everybody else. But,
yeah, you
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep. The
Um,
Green Bay
and then-
Packers have legit 4 wide
Yeah.
receivers under 25 that you'd be plenty happy with starting your franchise with. I
Yep.
mean, they very talented. And then I think, Matt, you nailed it when you said Nico Collins not being in this game. The Packers actually
That's
allow the
big.
6th most passing yards. So, I mean, this kind of fits into their scheme and Stroud getting the
bread
going.
and butter.
But
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to get going without your number one. But we'll see what Stephon
Yeah,
does.
and we'll see how
Tank
cold
Dell.
it gets. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
the weather that's going to be that Sunday, but like today, you know, I'm in
it's
Indiana.
gonna be nice.
It-
It's
it
gonna
was-
be warm.
Dude, it was 50 degrees today. It's like, so it might, you know, you never know.
Brisk but sunny, right? So
Yeah.
57, I think.
Yeah. One
Clear
thing that was
skies.
interesting before we move on to this game, like a random thing, is so Joe Mixon's back. He's healthy. Popped off last week. I mean, when he's playing, it's just a different Texans team. It really is. But we saw the backup, Cam Akers, right? He got traded. Which
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw. He got traded to the Vikings, which he
Yeah.
went from the Vikings to the Texans, back to the Texans, back to the Vikings. So it's like it was just a really weird trade of just like you guys could have just kept him, which raises concern for Aaron Jones, which we can get into that another time. But we have the Colts, Dolphins. All of us took the Colts pretty much. You know, the Colts weren't favored last week. Tua's still not back. That offense just isn't getting going. The Dolphins defense does look good. But honestly, the Colts look really, really good with Joe Flacco under center. You know, Michael Pittman actually did play last week. We didn't think he was going to. That back injury it can definitely come into you know, play anytime. Marcus, you know, especially in arcades, that it can kind of just happen whenever.
Oh, yeah.
If
Sneaks
you guys
up
don't
on
know,
you.
Marcus pulled his back playing arcade basketball against me. I did beat him. So I
Dude.
blew Marcus's back out in an arcade, literally.
basketball.
Wow.
Yeah, in basketball.
There's
But
a first for everything.
yeah, exactly. There's not really much to dive into on this. Colts, you know, they beat the Dolphins.
Mhm.
Pretty much, they're at home. Everything looks good. JT should be good to go. Michael Pittman
it'll
good
just
to
be
go.
interesting if Richardson comes back.
Yeah.
He's
You know,
supposed to start. That's
yeah, it's
what
going
I
to be
was
a
kinda
different
reading.
dynamic again, but
Yeah.
but Dolphins are just not looking.
It's the
good right now.
Colts game to lose for sure.
Yeah.
And then another game, literally probably like I mean, vertical right there is just kind of the way the schedule was made. Is I mean, these two games, I wish I could like. It sucks because I'm sure Fancy. I know you're a Packers fan, but you're gonna be watching that game. But I'm sure you would love to see the Lions Vikings game just as much as Matt. You're gonna be watching the Lions Vikings game. I'm sure you would like to see the Packers Texans game, right? So it sucks that these are not primetime games. But that's just the way the schedule works sometimes. But we have Matt, Fancy, and Marcus all picking the Lions, who aren't currently favored.
Disappointed in you, Jake.
I know. I
I want
just
to hear why you decided with the Vikings.
I just, you know, they're coming off of a bye. They're 5-0. I mean, they could come off the slump off the bye. It definitely is a possibility, but you know, them at home, you know, Jefferson 100%, you know, Jordan Addison 100%. It's like I've seen Detroit let up a lot of yards, obviously besides the Cowboys, because the Cowboys are the worst team in the NFL. Which Fancy you already know.
yeah.
But it was just one of those feel things for me. There wasn't like a crazy amount of logic behind it for me. Vikings at home, 5-0. It's like I didn't go the way I guess the way I was looking at it when I was picking my picks was I didn't go with the Chiefs. Spoiler alert on the next slide. I didn't go with the Chiefs. They're 5-0. It's like I can't go against 2 of the 5-0 teams on the list. It's like they're 5-0 for a reason. And are the Detroit Lions going to get enough pressure defensively without Aiden Hutchinson? Like because that's a guy. I mean, he's number 1 in the NFL in sacks, which that's a huge blow to you guys. And
Absolutely.
You're gonna have to get to Sam Darnold because we've seen him become literally a top 5 quarterback this season out of absolutely nowhere. So that's kind of where my thing. If Aiden Hutchinson's in the game, I don't know. It's definitely a difference. It's kind of like the Nico thing. It's a different ball game for me. Like, but that's kind of where I went with that. So
yeah, to me, they're 2 offenses that are just looking amazing, and then 2 defenses that are looking amazing. So now, when you kind of have that all things equal, now we have lost our stud defensive player, so maybe it does knock us down a peg or 2. But I think this is still Super Bowl team. Like I'm going to continue to say that for the Lions, and I think this is one of the games that you have to win.
Yep.
To try
especially
to
off that end. Like you saw the Dan Campbell speech. It doesn't matter. This is the team that we came in with. This is the team that we fight with. Whatever else. It's like I loved his mindset on it. But you're right. It absolutely is a game where you win to show the team is like, hey, we don't need him. We love him. We want him, but we don't need him to win. Like the rest of the season's going to go on. Like,
but how amazing would it be to just all be? I know we're already all in, right? But take one step further, get one of those Trey Hendrickson, Hassan Reddick, Max Crosby, Myles Garrett. You find a way to get a superstar defender to fill that spot. Now you are a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, Vince Wilfork, anyone. I mean,
you
got to
get
PJ Raji. I mean,
you got to get
Eddie Lacy.
Somebody.
I mean,
you got to get somebody.
You can fucking plug the hole.
Lions might be the most complete team in football, and I think even with Aiden Hutchinson going out with that injury, I mean, you're going to see 2 top 5 defenses going at it. The only caveat that kind of made me choose the Lions is the Vikings. You guys might be a little higher in the Vikings offense than I am. I think they're hiding Darnold. I don't think overnight Darnold turned into a top 5 quarterback, a top 10 quarterback. I think he right now is the second fewest passing attempts in the league. They're establishing leads, and he's making smart reads. He's playing well, but he's playing within that scheme. And I don't think playing within that scheme is going to score them enough points to beat the Lions. I think the Lions have too many offensive pieces. I think that this game, if the Lions go up early and that game script flips and the Vikings are forced to pass and forced to rely on Darnold, I think you're going to see a different side of them. And I really think that this game could turn ugly. And I think that might surprise some people, being that the Vikings are 5-0. But I do think there might be 2, like we said earlier in the pod, that maybe this is more of a product of who they played than what they are.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could definitely see that being a thing, especially with the Lions just knocking them out of that comfort level of like, okay, we're up 14-0. Let's just keep the ball safe. You know what I mean? Like, and their defense has been great, and I think that's definitely like the Vikings defense. Matt, you've even been really high on them. It's a scary defense they've confused a lot of people, especially CJ Stroud. That's who CJ Stroud's that one loss is to is this Vikings team. So it'll be real interesting to see.
Rodgers had a lot of praise.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, in our league, I picked him up as I actually have both Lions and Vikings defense.
Which the Lions are they're like the 29th fantasy ranked team. I don't even know why you have them.
That's my team name now, so I mean, I have to have
them. But then we have the Eagles Giants. We all picked the Eagles. Little spoiler, we did take Eagles money line on our podcast parlay, which, by the way, back-to-back weeks the boys have hit. So we're up a lot of moolah. That's where Fancy got the jacket. So if you guys want to have a cool jacket, follow our, tell our parlay. It's just the rumor on the street. The last couple of games that we have, we will walk through pretty much only one of these games. Teams in the bye, Cowboys, nobody fucking cares. They
were on bye last week. They definitely didn't play.
No, that's what I was. I didn't realize teams got back-to-back buys.
That's crazy.
But who knows? The Commanders play. Was that?
Did anyone see Jerry Jones on 105.3
Yes,
The Fan
yes,
down
that was
there?
Oh,
embarrassing.
yeah.
That was
Oh,
absolutely
I mean,
embarrassing.
you have a
Absolutely embarrassing.
billionaire owner having a meltdown.
Yes, the ego on that man is insane.
And,
Temper
and the
tantrum.
and the worst part about it is those talk shows are 100% a product of your fan base. Like that's the only people listening to that. That's the only people
Yeah.
supporting
Like you
them.
can't ask me that
And you
question.
go
It's like
on
last time I
there.
checked, we're in
Yeah.
America. I can ask you whatever the fuck I want to ask you. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Is that
Not
where he
only that,
basically
but-
said he's going to
Yeah.
fire the
Yeah.
host?
That's
Yeah.
their job. Their job is to criticize the team when they're doing bad and praise them when they're doing good. They got
And then trust me, they do
Well-
plenty of praising. They'll beat the Panthers.
Oh,
They'll
yeah.
act like their team is the
nobody
whole god.
likes Cowboys more than
Glaze
Cowboys
that
fans.
shit.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
So,
yeah.
but the top two games, not really much to talk about. Rams, Raiders. We all took the Rams. I mean, the Raiders are just falling apart. The Rams get Cooper Kupp back. Honestly, the Rams needed that bye week more than anyone else. I really do
Mhm.
think that the Rams still can be a playoff team. I just think they've been hit with so many. I mean, they hit the injury bug like crazy this year. So I think that bye week came at a perfect time. This should be a layup game for them to get back in the win column. Commanders, Panthers. Jaden Daniels should have a game. I think this should be the game that a lot of people. I shouldn't say like put him on the spot because everyone knows what he's been accomplishing. But I think this is one of those games where I don't know if he's gotten over that 300 hump yet, but I think he could easily get 300 plus. Which, spoiler alert, we have another parlay with Jaden Daniels in it. So stay tuned for that. But the game and probably the debate of the week that we finally have a 2-2. It's been
We're a
3-1
split,
or
yeah.
4-0 all the whole way through. We finally have it split. We have me and Matt taking the 49ers and Fancy and Marcus taking the Chiefs. Fancy, you have not picked against the Chiefs. I promised you last week that I would never vote against them again. And then I did it. So if it literally bites me in the ass again, I'm asking you guys like literally for help. I'm asking you guys to literally, when it comes to the Chiefs game, never let me bet again. If Mahomes goes down, do not let me pick against the Chiefs still, okay? Like I'm telling you as a podcast, if you see my name not against the Chiefs in a Chiefs game, like I need to take the Chiefs if they lose. I guess we'll start with me and you, Matt, because they are favored. They are the home team. So give me the breakdown of what you see out of the 49ers. I believe coming off of a bye, right? Did they just come off a bye or no? No, they did not. No, they
Chiefs
didn't.
No,
did, right?
that was the Seahawks.
Yeah, the Chiefs did. Yeah, that's correct. You're right.
Yeah, that was the Seahawks game
Okay.
that I picked incorrectly. So maybe that's what pushed me. That was the one game I got wrong last week. So
That
maybe
perfect
pushed me.
record.
And you actually, you went into that game. I think you talked about it. Kittle on his birthday, and he ends up scoring.
I bet it. Yeah.
And he ends up scoring 2, right? So
There was a fun stat, Marcus. I talked about on the pod last episode was he scored a touchdown, basically either on his birthday or around his the game before his birthday, or the game after his birthday. He scored a touchdown every single time. So I hammered the first time touchdown on him. I hammered the anytime touchdown, and then he's ended up scoring 2. So it was kind of cool to see it come kind of like fruition of So
yeah, so it was interesting when Mason, got hurt. Next man up. Like, what is it with this rush attack?
Because it's just
this next man up just all of a sudden just dominates, right? I can't think of his name right now. It's
Giardo or
yeah.
Giardo.
the rookie they drafted.
Yeah.
The rookie.
So
Fourth round pick.
he just steps in and dominates. So you're right. It's the scheme. They can dominate the run game. And everyone likes to say game manager, right? But the game manager is finding his receivers, finding Kittle. He's getting it done. I picked the wrong side of that last week in the DK lineup. I thought Jennings was going to be able to step it up again.
Yeah, I dropped Jennings in a lot of my leagues that I had him in just because Ayuk, Kittle, and Debo are healthy, and he's drowned on the depth chart again. That's all it is.
But Debo just lit it up. And this offense does look legit. And to me, for whatever reason, I'm never high on the Chiefs. I really think that they get a 12th man, they get the refs every time. But other than that, I think San Francisco can win this game.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed everything that I was going to say. And Fancy's rebuttal is basically going to be like, hey, if they have the 12th man being the refs, then pick them, and that's what Fancy's going to stand on. And it's like, I just don't know why I'm not doing it. I don't know. Like, call me crazy. I just, Super Bowl rematch, Brock Purdy, to me, I don't know. If you sit down and watch the game, he just never really makes like a a really bad play. Like if you sit there and watch the games, it's not like it's like, what was that? It's like he's very smart. I mean, he's surrounded by a lot of talent, which a lot of people, whatever. But at home, this is a game that they need to win. This is a game that their fan base really, really wants.
Agreed.
And so, they've lost 2 Super Bowls to this guy. So they're gonna come out. Nick Bosa's gonna come out fucking ready to go. And so that's kind of where I went. So
Yeah,
What
I
do you
think
guys
this is another coin flip game. I mean, there's 2 or 3 of them on this week's slate, and this is another one where if you were to argue the Chiefs, I'd say, hey, I hear what you're saying, and if you say the 49ers, I hear what you're saying. I think that that this game means a ton to the 49ers, and being at home, playing against a team that's, I mean, just twisted the knife on them over and over again. The reason I went with the Chiefs, I just think that at times San Francisco offensive identity is kind of just hit or miss. Like the Chiefs know exactly what they're doing when they come into a game. They're so well coached, so well rounded that we poke all these holes in their team, yet they find ways to come through. And I know it might be that 12th man. I mean, it's been on their side for the last 4 or 5 years minimum. So 2 great
works, right?
teams. Yeah, 2 great teams. I mean, San Francisco is so much better than the record shows. They need to not be 3-4 in that division, knowing that they're probably not going to win it. And I don't know. We're going to see what happens.
Yeah.
Dude, the Niners definitely have had some losses that just leave you scratching your head. He said, this is not the Niners I thought. I did say at the beginning of the season, I think this is the year we see them start to slide. I never meant slide the fuck off like they're doing, but I didn't think they were going to be better than last year, and even Chiefs missing crucial components, they've had a week off to figure that out and get prepared for this game that they know all eyes are going to be on this, and all eyes are going to be on the refs, and if they're getting it called right, and if it's getting called fair, because it's any play that goes their way, it's probably going to be, well, they missed a hold or anything like that, and whether that is true or not, all the fans, everybody in the NFL that hates on it, it's like, then start betting on the Chiefs.
Yep.
Put money on it, and Vegas will change those odds.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to see them lose, start betting on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway,
for sure. And hey, and Kareem Hunt complemented that offense really well. Andy Reid gave him a second chance there in Kansas City, and he's kind of taken it and run with it. So another Cleveland Brown to bring up in the pod. But with that being said,
so if you leave Cleveland, you will find success.
Exactly.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield said that. But last week, DK's lineup, obviously Marcus did not do that with us, but I ended up winning. Not a super good week for any of us. Not a lot of fire. Ones that stuck out, I've been very high on Caleb Williams and Zay Flowers the last 2 matchups just because of the matchups that I liked. So that's really panned out for me. Golf really worked out for both of you guys. Swift and Harris did great for you, Fancy. Don't know how Bucky didn't get a fire in there, especially as the RB2 on the depth chart. Technically in that game as 18.5 is crazy that he didn't get a fire there. But Godwin 38.5, honestly a huge. We honestly broke that pick down a lot last week, Matt. So really cool to see us kind of really go in depth on that pick. And talk about Chris Godwin. Just talked about how he's just getting fed a lot, and Mike Evans has kind of been in the shadows, or not in the shadows necessarily because he's still having a decent year, but he's not having that big Mike year of 100 plus games and everything else. He's catching the big touchdowns, but Godwin's been the guy that Baker's really getting comfortable with. So really cool to see that coming into fruition for that. But so that leaderboard is me 3 wins, Fancy 2 wins, Matt 1 win. So we'll see what happens this week. The lineups that we have all 4 of us participating in this one. This will be Marcus's first. I think he was kind of confused. I think Marcus was trying to go down the list and pick as many questionable players as he could find. So we'll see what happens. But I'll start out with mine. Went with Andy Dalton and Deontay Johnson as the bubble there. I love the matchup against Washington. They have one of the worst pass defenses in the league. I went heavy, on which Matt and Fancy, you both know I don't usually do this. I spent a lot of my money on Mixon and Robinson. I love their matchups this week. They had great weeks last week. I love the matchups they're going into this week. And then I needed to find some cheaper receivers. Obviously, we're spending that much money. So I went with Sutton, who has a good matchup on Thursday. Someone's got to catch the ball on Thursday night, right? I mean, someone's got to, right? And Sutton's been kind of the go-to for Bo Nix once they actually, don't run the ball every single play. Brian Thomas, Matt, you already mentioned you're having a great year. Should do great in London. He'll be London's top receiver at the end of the year. Cade Otton, just love the matchup. Wan'Dale Robinson, I've been high on him every single week so far. I've made I don't know how many waiver wire TikToks talking about him, talking about how many targets he's getting per game, even with Malik Nabers there, not there. He's a guy that's going to get you 5-6 catches a game. So it's just a guy to give me the double digits. And I like the Giants against the struggling Philly offense. So we'll see what happens. So
Yeah, with my picks, I mean, I like Love. He's got 16 number one WRs to pick from every game. So he's getting more and more comfortable, and he's not throwing it to the other team as much, which I like personally.
I like when they do that.
I prefer that.
I prefer that.
And you know, I mean, the Browns missing everybody on offense. I figured their defense might still have some success against the Bengals' lack of an O-line. And everything else in between, I hate starting my week off with someone doing very poorly on Thursday night, and I don't want to wait till Monday to see how my team finally did. So everything else just landed on Sunday.
There you go. I like it.
Yep. I was looking at that T. Higgins in there too, but
Yeah.
I stuck with you with the Dobbs pick. You know, for everything you said about Green Bay, you're just hoping you're guessing right essentially with those wide receivers. So
And when you do, it pays. I mean, it pays out.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So it's kind of that, you know, it has really high upside to it. I'm really hoping Neighbors is good to go. You know, he was able to go to a concert last week, so his head should be doing good.
And he went to it before that game even started.
I know that's not a good look, but I mean, obviously that
he's
means
a rookie. I mean,
yeah, obviously
who was it?
The concert?
Travis Scott.
Oh God,
one of the worst ones to go to if you have a
MetLife.
concussion. It's probably one of the worst concerts.
right. So that's why I think he's fine. Other than
That's why he missed the game, dude. Like,
the day after his concussion protocol, they do it by the stages. He was in the same stage when you'd like to see progress. The next morning, he didn't move up, and people were like, "What the hell?" And then it came out that he was at the Travis Scott concert.
So that might be just a disciplinary thing too, instead of the actual protocol. But I guess I got another questionable one too. You know, I love Brian Robinson. Hopefully he's good to go, because I think that's a great matchup for any running back.
Yep. Go up early in the game. Let the run game do its thing.
Yep. Against Carolina. J.K. Dobbins. We've seen some really good stuff out of him this year, and especially against Arizona.
Awesome story.
Yeah. Big time.
Yep.
And then maybe the other one that I'd like to highlight would probably be Bowers. I think with Adams, you know,
what a perfect time for me to make that trade.
What's that?
What a perfect time for me to make that trade in the fantasy league. Me trading for Bowers right before Adams gets traded out. That was
Yep.
I love that. I just couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford 5,800 with my running back.
So I feel like Bowers is going to get, you know, the bulk of the targets there. And we've seen when he does get those targets, you know, as this rookie, basically leading the tight ends right now. So to me, that's hopefully the one we're going to look at next week. And he's going to be the one that, you know, dominates that tight end position.
Yeah. Marcus, if I know you do tune in quite a bit, but Matt he likes tight ends. He really loves tight ends.
Yep. I got those tight ends going again.
So he got the tight ends going. It's clearly why he only has one win out of the 6 weeks, but he's going to ride with it. But this is your debut. So give us the little spiel of what we got going on. I already see a few picks that I really like coming out of there. So
yeah, I did a little research, and you know, you kind of go with a lot of matchups on here. So I like Geno against Atlanta. I think that's going to be a pretty high scoring game. Atlanta, I have it somewhere here. Atlanta has the highest completion percentage allowed to other quarterbacks. Seattle throws the ball the most in the league.
Yep.
Recipe for success there, and as the points go up, his attempts will go up, and hopefully his fantasy points follow. J.K. Dobbins, like you said, I think he's top 3 comeback player of the year. He's getting a lot of attempts, and he's doing a lot with them. I mean, it's never been a talent issue with J.K. It's been a health issue. Yep. He's on the field. He's producing. I like Pollard against Buffalo. Buffalo, great defense. Not so great rush defense.
Yeah, 31st.
They're getting torched. Yeah, they are getting torched. So
hard to pick. hard to pick Tennessee players is that's the only
Mhm.
downside. But
No,
But
He
you're
is used in the receiving game a lot too. So that is the
Yeah,
nice thing
yeah,
about Pollard
yeah.
is at least he's complimentary of both sides of it where they need to
Yeah,
score eventually.
he's not a workhorse between the tackles back who, if the script flips, he might get hurt by that, but we'll see. Tay, back with Rodgers. I think he's going to score a touch. He might have one catch, but it's going to be in the end zone. I'm also going
Kind
to
of just one of those like fuck yous to the old teams type
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
100%.
I could see it.
So Quentin Johnson, just hoping for a little spark. He's a cheaper side player. I'm looking for someone who has that over the top potential, might boom,
Might catch an
bust.
80-yard, might catch an 80-yard touchdown or something.
Brian Thomas, I mean, we see him on your team, Jake. I think that he's just getting a ton of volume, and he's got all the talent in the world. We could see him in the end zone. Ingram kind of sucks to stack up on Jacksonville after I've said their offense has no identity right now.
But
his
both
first
those
game
guys,
back,
both those guys are the red zone targets. So it's
Yeah.
actually great that you have both of them because one of those guys, is probably.
I
gonna
think
get looked at
Ingram's only
3
literally
times
played
there.
like one game this season. And he caught
Yeah.
10 catches. It's like
Mhm.
that's Lawrence's guy. So
Yep, Trevor Lawrence loves him some Evan Ingram. So now he's back healthy. I know you were really high on him before the year started, Jake. So I thought you had said that he might get 100 receptions. We might see him after
somehow still get it.
missing
Yeah.
4 or 5 weeks. Yeah, he might be up there.
Yeah, I've
So,
got my prediction for him was he was going to be a top 3 tight end of the year.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I mean, obviously it's tough missing those weeks, but you're right. He looked
It's funny
right,
that-
right back at it.
yep. And then Jameson Williams, another guy who take the top off, and he's hit or miss, but let's hope he hits.
Yeah, absolutely. You got two guys in there between Johnson and Williams that could really, catch one down the field. And once they get going, good luck trying to stop them. You know what I mean? But like I said last week, we did hit. The week before that, we did hit. So this week, if we don't hit, it's the Browns fans' fault. But going into it, we have a plus 306. We are on the safer side of things.
Just because
I'll
we
let
have
you
4
guys.
picks now,
I'll
right?
let. What's that?
I said safer side just because now we're adding another leg.
Right.
So
Exactly. Exactly. I'll let you guys, decide on who you guys think that are listening, because if you guys are listening to this every single week, you'll know who picked the Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. Marcus went with the 175 plus passing yards for Drake May against the Jaguars. Love that pick. Fancy 3rd week in a row. Jay and Daniels passing yards, alternate 200 plus there. And then I know it seems like it might be a homie pick that I picked the Eagles, but I let them all pick between the 3 games that we all decided on, between the Falcons, the Packers, and the Eagles, which one we were the most confident in, and we all came together and said the Eagles. So it's a plus 306, $25 to win $101.69. I think the 69 is probably going to be the deciding factor in that. So hopefully you guys tail with us. Let us know down in the comments if you guys did last week or if you are going to this week. Because we're getting hot, and now is definitely the time to jump on board. But we have one more segment, and no, it's not Matt's trivia. Matt got fired.
Everybody's disappointed. But
Matt got fired. You're gonna have to tune back in next week. No, we want to do something fun this week. So we're doing a new thing. Matt, you'll have to explain kind of like more so of what. Well, I guess it's right there. It's just the Pro Football Grid, right? So to run you guys through. Obviously, there's 9 spots. Each spot is worth 100 points. You want the least amount of points. I know that's kind of confusing. So to give you an example, if we pick someone and it's 3%, that means 3% of the people that have done this have only made that pick. So you want to pick the player, even if it might be someone obvious, right? It might be someone obvious that sticks out. Like for me right now, the Cardinals, Bengals, the player that sticks out for me that has played for both of those teams is Carson Palmer. But the Carson Palmer is probably the one player on that list that everyone else is picking. So you want to try to balance out between making sure you get the right answer correct, because if you don't, you get a plus 100 added to your score, which when you want the least amount of points, you don't want that. But you have to balance between that out and then also picking, making sure you just pick the right one versus, a lower one. So
yeah, no, so no wrong guesses, because if you do a wrong guess, that means you're going to have 100 in one of these 9 spots, and that's obviously
absolutely. So we got to work together. We have to figure out a player who played for the Rams and Vikings, the Rams and Bengals, a player who only played on the Rams, a player who only played on the Cardinals, and a player who only played on the Panthers. So that means they played their entire career there. and didn't move on to any other team. And then the Cardinals, Vikings, Cardinals, Bengals, Panthers, Vikings, Panthers, Bengals. So we kind of have to work together here. The way I kind of wanted to do it is I wanted to at least make sure every single one of us gets one. So I know we're going to work together here. But Fancy, can you name me? We'll give you the third column is kind of the easier one here. So can you name me any person on the Rams, Cardinals, or Panthers that had played for that team throughout their entire career? So you can pick any one of them. You want to think Rams or Cardinals?
I'm thinking Rams. Rams is what's coming to mind.
Okay.
I'm just trying to remember because I was pretty young, but I want to say he stayed there, and Marshall Faulk. But he might have finished his career somewhere else. But I want to say he stayed a Ram.
Sometimes those running backs are tricky because once they get older, they kind of get tossed down to a couple different teams. Where my mind went to, not to take that spot, is Aaron Donald. We know Aaron Donald got drafted there. We know he retired there. Like that to me, that's a safe pick.
That's the safe pick for sure.
Yeah, that's a safe pick for sure.
Who was their big left tackle? 77, like Whitman or Whitaker. He just
Whitman played there the whole time. Yeah, he's on Amazon now.
Yeah.
Andrew Whitworth? Andrew
Whitworth.
Yeah, Whitworth.
He played for two teams though.
Oh, did he? I thought he was a lifer.
Oh yeah, he played for the Bengals. That'll be mine. He played for the Bengals.
Yeah.
Oh, when did he play for the Bengals?
Well, we're about to find out. This is me and Matt typically like do this, and there's no pressure. But now we're live, so
yeah, let's do it.
I'm a hit.
He did play a lot of years.
Yep. See, and that's not okay. So 57%. So that's what I'm saying is that wasn't a pull like we thought it was gonna be. So it's not bad. You know what I mean? It's better than not getting it right. So we're gonna need to dig deep on some of these, and kind of really set stone here. But it's good. At least I knew that fact because you guys would have pulled it for the Rams. So we have Aaron Donald, the Cardinals. Can you think of somebody on the Cardinals that we definitely know?
I mean, you don't think of Larry Fitz probably, but that's a little too obvious. So we gotta fight around that one.
I don't. That's the problem too. Is there's not.
Ooh.
I bet you this list is low.
Pat Tillman.
Yeah, I mean he didn't play long,
but he was.
I have a Pat Tillman jersey.
He didn't play anywhere else. We know that for sure.
Yeah, he played 4 years before he even signed his next contract. He went on his military deployment.
Pat Tillman, 1998, 2001.
That's right.
4 years.
2%er, boys.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
this is what we need. This is what we need. This is what we need. All right. Panthers. Only one person comes to mind.
Kuechly, but
that's the only thing that comes to mind. They haven't been around long enough for me to know anything else. Like Newton went places, CMC went places, Olsen played for the Bears beforehand. Kelvin Benjamin got tossed around the league. Steve Smith, he went around a couple. So it's
he's with the Ravens.
I don't think there's going to be too many options when it comes to this one. And it's still 19%er, so maybe
that's actually way lower than I thought it.
Well, and honestly, a lot of people
are they saying?
That's what I mean. So it is going to be interesting to find out. Do we want to rip Aaron Donald just to get it off the board?
If it's safe, I say just rip it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know for sure that he didn't play anywhere else, and then we kind of focus on the harder ones. And then 20% honestly isn't bad. So honestly, I thought this would be a better poll, but it isn't.
Wow. Okay.
I will say, Matt, you're gonna hate me again because I know the stupid one. Remember the TikToker, whatever else, because it's still the same teams that from before that we pulled it on. Cardinals and Bengals is Cody Ford, who cheated on TT on TikTok. If you guys listening,
that's way better than AJ Green.
It's a stupid poll. 0.7%.
Yeah, just like last time, it was a great.
I did it before, and the only reason I know that is because of the whole situation. Their relationships on TikTok, and his jerseys are on the background, so I knew he played for those teams or whatever, and it just like came to mind. And he was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about," and I pulled it, and it's a great percent.
I still have no idea who you're talking about.
Yeah. He's a lineman for the Bengals at the moment.
There we go.
All right,
damn, off to a pretty hot start.
So Rams Vikings. This would be crazy if we pulled like a. So me and Matt's highest score, our best score, our lowest score is 210. So 210 is like what we're going to be striving to beat every week, which is really tough to try and do. But with that 0.7 and the 2%er, this could definitely end up being something that we can definitely accomplish here.
Did Harrison Smith play for the Cardinals?
No, he's been with the Vikings
Oh, yeah, yep.
his
He's
whole
still
career.
there. He's
The person
still
that sticks out
there.
for
Yep, I'm
me,
thinking of someone
which
else.
it might be like we just talked about the trade, is Cam Akers. Like he started with the Rams because Sean McVay hated him, and then he's went to the Vikings. He just got traded to the Vikings, so we know he played there for sure.
Yeah, I was saying that's, you do have to be careful, right? Like what we talked about before is if you hover over the name, it says you have to have played.
Yeah, he did play for the Vikings because he played for them.
Right, which
yeah.
we know. Yeah, that
Yeah.
I just want to say that's the reason that one works is because he had previously played there. Now, because he just got traded, if he hadn't played there before,
You gotta play
it
a snap.
wouldn't
Yeah.
count. Yeah.
Got to play snap.
I just want to qualify,
Yeah,
that.
it was a pull. So we got 3 left. We got Cardinals, Vikings, Panthers, Vikings, and the Panthers, Bengals.
We got a shot at sub 200.
We have a shot.
Now,
Cards and
you
the Vikings. My mind right away goes to Adrian Peterson, Josh Dobbs.
I'd go with the older one.
What about you had said it before with the Vikings? What about Jared Allen? Was he at the Cards as well?
I don't think he was Cards. I think
Yeah.
No, he was definitely.
He's Panthers, Vikings. He was Panthers for sure.
Panthers, Vikings.
Yeah, he was Panthers and Vikings.
That's what I'm thinking.
Sure.
Okay.
Is that the best we can do? I think it'll be a pretty good one.
Yeah, I like that.
Or Panthers, Vikings, Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh.
Yep.
Some of
those quarterbacks is what you really need to think about. But
no. What is the backup for the Falcons? His last name reminds you of a beer.
What position?
Heineke.
Oh.
Taylor Heineke?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he has played for everybody.
He played.
What was he picked
for the Panthers?
I was trying to pull one like Christian Ponder out of here, but I don't remember who else.
I don't think I even have that in
Dude, I think Christian Ponder did play for the Cardinals.
Oh, did okay.
Did he not?
I thought it chalked our point. I was like, wait, I didn't even type nothing.
No, I don't want to go on a whim though. But I'm like that. Those are the ones I'm trying to think of, like the obscure ones. But we're doing well that you don't want to.
Maybe we just go Teddy. We know Teddy played.
Try it. I'm okay with that.
10%.
Yeah, 10. That's a great pull then. Okay.
It's a tough picture they pulled.
Yeah. Definitely not the best one.
Oh man. All right. Cards, Vikings. Like I said, AP, Dobbs.
I prefer AP. I feel like a little bit older, kind of like the Pat Tillman thing. We got a pretty good chance of going low.
I know, but he played for a lot more teams. Like
that, it might be people that do this, know those. Like I said, so those
he played for the Saints, the Lions. Like they know him as a guy they can mark down. Did Michael Floyd? That was the old wide receiver for the Cardinals. Did he play for the Vikings?
That's who I was thinking of. 15. I could not think of his damn name. I'm not sure though. I was gonna say him as well.
Okay, how about we figure out this? How about we figure out this? We do the math on it.
I was gonna say we don't have to.
Panthers, Bengals.
We don't have
Panthers, Bengals. I have Panthers, Bengals. Andy Dalton, obviously.
Did Cedric Benson play for the Panthers, right? Because he came from Chicago. He for sure played with the Bengals, and I'm pretty sure he ended up.
What, Eli Apple?
Yeah.
All right.
Damn. Now I want to see if Cedric Benson's on there too, though.
4%. All right. Do quick math, Funzy. You're good at math. Do quick math. What do we got here? 110, 138.
We're like right around 160.
Oh shit. Okay. So we don't want to pull AP though, because AP
he could be in the 60s.
We're closer to we're closer to like 180.
Do we want to pull Floyd? Funzy,
a wrong answer just absolutely kills us here though.
Can I just see Floyd's like years? Oh, that's not how you spell Floyd.
What does that say?
I just don't know.
18.
I'd rather do Dobbs than AP though.
I would do Dobbs over AP too.
Okay.
Just AP is like one of the first Vikings people are going to think of.
Ready, boys?
Let's see.
Yeah, send it.
Ready?
13.
187. First pull.
It was
First
13 too.
pull on
Love
the
it.
podcast, and we beat
Yeah.
the thing. You can't even make that up, dude. You literally can't even make that up.
Wow.
Show me Cedric Benson.
Show me Cedric Benson. Let's see. So AP was not the highest. Patrick Peterson. Oh wow, I forgot about Patrick Peterson.
It
Patrick
still would have only
Peterson.
been 39, so it still would have made it.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about Bryce Young. Obviously, he just got
Oh,
drafted.
duh.
We could have done Xavier Leggett too. Like he's only
Mhm.
played for.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. I was thinking like long-term Panthers for like forever ago.
I forgot about Adam Thielen.
Yeah, so
Deadass.
Whitworth was everywhere. Same thing with Akers and Donald. I didn't think about Kyler Murray. We could have done Marvin Harrison Jr. too, or
Yeah, that's
One of
funny.
the-
Just
one of the
do
running
rook-
backs.
just
You could've-
do rookies.
yeah, we could have done one of the running back. Why didn't we think we could have done literally Trey McBride? Like we could have done so many guys that literally just like played
Yeah.
like just like I don't know. My mind went like so far. Like we could have went Jared Verse
who had
for
a
the-
who
for
had
the
a
Rams.
long career
Yeah,
for that
we could have
team.
went Puka Nakua. Like we could have literally just like yeah.
man.
I was thinking longevity of the teams.
It's
I
a
wasn't
learning
thinking-
experience. You know, it's our first one on the pod.
Yep,
So
Yeah.
that was a pretty good
Absolutely,
score.
that's crazy
Proud of that.
we break the me and Matt's records by 23 points, which is awesome. So yeah, I mean, hey Marcus, we appreciate you coming on the pod. We had a lot of fun. I mean, it was lots to talk about, lots to go over. New graphics. We've been killing it on the socials. If you guys aren't following us on our socials, me and Matt have been very consistent on it and doing a lot of really cool things between the waiver wires and the snap share counts and stat leaders, all kinds of stuff for literally everyone that's looking for stuff. We just want to be able to give that information to you guys. So if you guys are tuning in for the first time, welcome in. We appreciate you guys. Please make sure you guys are subbed and following us on all of our socials. But that is all that I got for you guys on this episode. You guys got anything else? Anything else you got to chip in, say, do / want to do?
Just for a second, I want to thank you guys for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, man.
Always a good time talking shop with the boys.
Yeah.
Especially in these trying times. Being
Yeah,
a Browns fan.
Marcus was our
so-
Make-A-Wish kid this week. Like,
yeah, we
it's
wanted to feel good
let's
about
think of a Browns
ourselves.
fan to make him feel better about himself.
Yeah. So I will.
Fancy anything?
No, man, it was great to finally get back after missing a week, and happy to see Marcus on here, and maybe we get some more guest spots in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and hope you guys enjoyed. And we hope to see you guys next week. Later.
See ya.